Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor and I help people navigate through their awakening process. And this video is going to tell you or share with you some ways that you can transform your guilt. We feel guilty a lot during our awakening as we suddenly start seeing ourselves with a new vantage point. But there's a way to more quickly not be stuck in that miserable feeling, that stifling energy of guilt, and actually transform it, transmute it into personal growth by simply understanding why you're feeling so guilty so often. Let me know if this resonates, because this is something that happens to me a lot in my awakening. I'll find myself almost like the world conspires against me and provokes me into acting out, say, behaviors and just doing things that I know on some level are not in alignment. They're not helpful to me or the people around me. And it can be sort of a perfect storm where it'll just go down in a way where I demonstrate to myself an excess of this thing that is just not good for me. And as a result of doing that, I'll wake up the next day and be like, dude, you really screwed up there, man. It's very easy to feel guilty about your shitty performance, about your lack of control, about how sloppy of a life situation you did yesterday. It's just a big mess. And maybe you said something that you shouldn't have to someone you love, or something to that effect, and you just feel really down, really guilty. This happened to me just the other day. It was I mentioned this before in other videos, but me and my wife we live in this little camper right now, and with 3 kids and 2 pets and ourselves in this little confined area, if we are not like flawless in our performance, it can get chaotic in there very quickly. So neither of us have much room for sloppiness in terms of maintaining our state of calmness and our Zen-like state. If I miss my meditation one time, well, that could very well lead me to eating some unhealthy, like sugary foods, and that puts me in a negative mind state, and then it just sort of spirals very quickly from there. And that's what happened the other night. I forgot exactly how the day went, but I had like more caffeine than normal. Not a big thing, obviously. It's not a big deal, but I was more uptight. And then, rather than being in my mode where I can tolerate just a general, what can sometimes be annoyingness from children, and if you have them, you know what I'm talking about, I reacted more. And then I felt kind of crummy about that. So rather than being in a good mood from there, it sort of led me to eating more of my unhealthy part of my day's meals and calories. That sometimes a small percentage comes from unhealthy foods, but I had more of it, and then just exacerbated this whole situation. Now I was really in a bad state, and the whole day sort of went in that direction. And by the end of it, I was so worked up and in such a bad way, you could say, psychologically and emotionally, that I didn't even tuck my kids in for bed. Oftentimes we have this ongoing story that I tell them. And they always look forward to it, man. You know me, I like to tell stories, and they just really neat time was spent with them, but I didn't do that. I just put them to bed, kind of just go to sleep. That's not like me. And I went and I laid on my bed, and I felt like shit. I felt horrible. I felt super, super guilty. I felt like a horrible parent, a horrible person. I suck at life. All those feelings, right? Now in the past, those feelings would linger. I would grow them by thinking about and validating them psychologically, why I should be feeling guilty, why I'm a bad person, why I'm a bad parent. But that guilt just gets heavier, and then a lot of people walk around feeling guilty all the time. And I did that for different points in my life. But now, I see this whole situation differently, that I know you all go through in your own way. I see it as our awakening will oftentimes highlight spots in our life on all the different levels of our human beingness that are not in alignment, not conducive for us being our strongest, best, most enlightened, amazing, loving self. And we can allow ourselves, we can attract to ourselves a scenario, a succession of events in a day or so that can, again, quickly magnify our shortcomings. And then we judge it from this higher vantage point. Our higher consciousness is, wow, that is an incredibly egoic way to go through the day, Vic. That is, and you just judge it from this high place, this low way of being. You see your ego manifested in your real life, and you see the effects it has on people you love and just your own self, your own sanity, your own happiness. You see it in a very obvious way, to where the natural byproduct, it's tempting it's hard not to feel guilty in that sort of circumstance, because again, it's hard not to judge yourself. But here's the thing, when you just acknowledge that you're an imperfect person, we all are, going through an awakening, a period of adjusting ourselves, and this is just the way it happens. It's actually better this way, because it'll take that one bad day, and I'll be damned if I do that again. I will make the changes, rather than being sort of subtle and me being kind of a dick or a mean to my kids in a less obvious way for the rest of their life. I allow myself this one magnified experience to send the message crystal clear to me. And yeah, I feel guilty a little bit. I felt guilty that night, but I woke up the next day not feeling guilty. I woke up the next day inspired to change, inspired to make the changes necessary to not let that happen again, because the consequences were too in my face, too crystal clear. So that's how I transformed that guilt into growth. And since that time, we've had a much better experience. And perhaps something similar might happen again and again, a couple times, to really help solidify this. But I work with my guilt, I work with my manifested shortcomings in this productive way, and I no longer dwell in that state of not being good enough and sucking at life that I used to, which oftentimes can lead to more poor performances at life and addictions and desires to escape, and then you're really feeling guilty. You can cut it off right there and just acknowledge that it's just the nature of the awakening process. It is how it works. It's just a simple consequence of judging your ego from a much clearer and higher vantage point temporarily, so you can make the necessary life adjustments to finally let that go permanently. And you can move through these cycles very quickly and very efficiently if you look at it in this way. So I hope that helps you guys. A lot of people going through this come from very difficult pasts. A lot of my coaching clients are in tough situations. I was once in a tough situation. My wife was in a very tough situation that can easily be judged and ridiculed. But the awakening is going to help you change. And changing oftentimes requires very clear vision, very clear clarity into the nature of who you allowed yourself to become living an unconscious life. And it's just the way it works, unfortunately. But a lot of good can come out of it. And that's the purpose of this video, to teach you how to transform your guilt, your shortcomings, into growth. So I wish you all well with that, guys. Have an amazing day. Namaste.